Hello and welcome to episode 3 and event 3 of the NASCAR Extreme Wreckfest Series Championship. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, be sure to click the link in the description below to go and check out episode 1 of this series so you can catch up. And if you haven't watched episode 2 yet, click up in the right corner of the screen right about now and you can find out what happened in event 2. But anyways, apparently Tony Stewart wasn't completely satisfied with the amount of wreckage that we had in event 2. And you know that I'm not the type of person to disappoint Tony Stewart.
If we haven't crashed at least 50% of the field by the end of the race, we need to extend the race till we at least crash 50% of the cars.
So this time we're going to step it up a notch and we're heading to the tricky triangle itself. Yes, that's right, Dirt Devil Stadium, so that we can try our absolute best to create as many tin cans as possible out of all of our race cars. Wait a minute, that's not Dirt Devil Stadium. Who on earth put that there? That's better. Let's get started. So we're going to start things off using the Boomer. I've never actually used this vehicle before, so I figured why not give it a try. All of the races today will be 3 laps. I didn't want to make it too long because then sometimes the AI would just start crashing themselves out randomly, which would make it too easy on myself, but I also didn't want to make it too short so that anybody that started in the back had 0 chance of actually winning. And we're going to start things off with a bang right here on lap 1 as Joey Logano tries to get on top of the ramp on a wrong angle, causing me to flip into a barrel roll and resting on my lid. I'm going to go ahead and pull a Casper the Friendly Ghost already, first lap of the first event, and we've already had to make use of that feature. And then we're going to see Brad Keselowski jumping up the half pipe to come and say hi to us.
I mean, he's a chump.
But we will bring it around after 1 lap in 8th place, roughly in the midfield, basically where we've been for most of the season so far. But then we're going to take our shoulders real wide with Eric Almirola pushing and shoving as we come through turn 1. But then we're going to see William Byron actually breakdancing in his car. You know, I didn't know he had it in him. Moving on to the final lap, I've managed to work my way up into 4th position. But there is one part about this track that I'm never usually that good at. And right here, like a complete idiot, you're going to see I'm going to clip the edge of this ramp and then spin into a somersault, flipping end over end. And down into the pit we go. Now I'm going to have to make my way back up this half pipe as I do a barrel roll on the way down as well for good measure. But on the way up, we do see Brad Keselowski once again trying to say hi. He does try to kill us, but he misses us in the process. And instead, we're going to bring it home in 7th for the first race. Skipping ahead to race 2, we're once again going to be trying out the Boomer for a 2nd race in a row. We're actually going to make it through this first little straightaway pretty cleanly, and once again right behind our good friend Brad and Eric Almirola, who I think has actually been performing pretty well in the last few races, so he could be a dark horse to look out for. And then Jimmy's just going to casually try and kill Chase by slamming him into the wall. When that doesn't work, he's then going to immediately after throw him right off the cliff. He must be really holding a vengeance because Chase has been outperforming him at Hendrick for the last few years. Not too long after, we're going to get squirrely once again, going through the 2nd little straightaway, clip the inside of that little ramp once again, and very slowly this time we're going to send ourselves to our demise over the cliff, once again pulling another Casper the Friendly Ghost, and because we're dead, you now see Chase Elliott has joined us here in the afterlife after Jimmy Johnson killed him just a few moments ago. Alex Bowman's car casually having an epileptic seizure. For the next 2 races, I decided to switch over to the Nexus RX, which you'll see is actually a pretty small vehicle, as the back would clearly indicate. And immediately coming after the first corner, we're going to go a little bit wide, get a little bit squirrely, and almost run head-on into these tires that are actually buried into the ground. You don't want to do that. It will definitely end your race. Unfortunately, the only interesting thing that really happened in this race was a swan dive head-on in the ground by Kyle Busch, thus making his brother Kurt the best racer in the family. Race 4 out of 10 for this event. Once again, we're going to get beat around a little bit coming out of the end of turn 1. And then we're actually going to get turned head-on into the wall and turn into a spinning top, thus creating a roadblock ahead of several drivers. Casual multi-car pile-up coming through the 2nd straightaway, just throwing some people off the cliff in the process. You know, I know that this car says that size doesn't matter and all, but I can't help but notice that Kyle Busch's SUV is a lot bigger than my car, and whenever he gets up to the rear of my car, it actually zooms in the camera, and it's pretty obnoxious. And now if you look to your left, you can see Kurt Busch trying to duke it out with Kevin Harvick for revenge after the attempted assassination attempt by Kevin Harvick in event 2. Using time travel, we've now moved on to the final lap of the race, and you're going to see Brad Keselowski, our best friend, once again coming alongside us, actually trying to kill us because we're only at 19 health. Fortunately, we don't actually take any damage from running in the wall, so it's going to be a drag race down the line. My car is 2 damaged, and he's going to beat us for 7th place. Moving on to the 5th race, we have changed cars once again, this time with the big boy that actually starts us on the outside line. Which we get a pretty good start, but unfortunately we go a bit too wide here, get the edge of this curb, hit the edge of these tires, which are rock solid, and fortunately Ryan Blaney keeps us from spinning all the way around. What a great friend he's been, and he actually points us back in the right direction. Eric Jones is going to get spun around right ahead of us, and we're actually going to hit him head on, and then just a few moments later, Martin Truex Jr. decides that he's actually afraid of heights, and he doesn't want to go on big scary jumps, so instead he takes a hard right, getting on top of myself and Ryan Blaney before we push him off to the other side of the track. I don't know exactly how he imagined that going. Once Truex is back on solid ground, however, he's then going to torpedo us out of absolutely nowhere in the entry of turn 1, spinning us around in the process, but we're also going to hold him up, so both of us are actually going to lose a ton of time to everybody else in the process. Moving on to the 6th race, we're going to start off right away with Clint Boyer putting me head on into these tires, which are bolted in the ground. Like I said, you don't really want to do that, and just like that, I'm in last place after just one corner. To make matters worse, we're once again going to clip the inside of this little ramp edge right here, but as soon as we get over that, by saving us from going over the edge, you're going to see all of these other drivers which did not manage to do the same, and they're all just basically filling up the pit one after another. Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick both chose a very interesting place to park right there. And I'd just like to take this portion of the video to once again remind you all that if you have any ideas or suggestions for things that you think I could do to improve the series, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. I'm definitely looking forward to see what you guys recommend. Why is it that everybody is parked in the strangest locations during this race? Speaking of people being parked in random locations, thanks a lot, whoever you were. So for the next two races, I decided to switch things up a little bit, and so for this race, myself and all of the AI will be taking the super van for a spin, so it'll be interesting to see how this thing handles considering it only has 3 wheels. Right off the bat, I'm going to learn that if this thing gets a little bit squirrely, it's going to be really hard to recover since it doesn't really handle that well, which is to be expected, of course. And interestingly enough, when it starts to get sideways, it actually raises up one of its hind legs like a dog about to urinate on a tree. I already had issues with this particular straightaway, but with 3 wheels it's a lot harder to actually get a good landing, so as you see I get real cockeyed, land sideways. And fortunately I managed to get out of it with just a small little love tap from Eric Almirola. I'm then on lap 2 going to foolishly decide to say, hey, you know what, I want to take the jump. But as you see, I don't get on the jump very straight here, and instead I decide to drill myself straight into the ground, ending my race right then and there, along with several other carcasses around me. So I then figured why not give it a second try, so this time I'm actually the only one in the super van, and all of the AI are actually back in their standard Class B vehicles, so it does give me a bit of a disadvantage, but it could be interesting. And in the very first corner, we're going to go ahead and knock Eric Almirola side on into that concrete wall. We're actually making it pretty cleanly so far. We're in the top 5. We've kind of broken away from most of the pack. Unfortunately, however, Martin Truex Jr. is going to come and basically start the end of our demise, as we're just going to be rammed into by effectively every other driver on the circuit. And just like that, not even a half lap through, we have 4 HP remaining, critical damage. And you're going to see here, once again, the biggest problem area of the track. I should have just tried the jump, but unfortunately I tried to go what I thought was a safe way, and instead I run into a bunch of carnage, and just like that, I am dead. So after those 2 failed, miserable attempts in the super van, I've now gone back to a standard Class B vehicle, this time the Dominator. And right off the bat in turn 1, I'm going to turn Kurt Busch head on into the wall, and then right afterwards, Joey Logano is going to go head on into the world's first immovable tire. Myself and Alex Bowman are then both going to RKO Jimmy Johnson out of nowhere, so rest in peace 7 time. This road's getting a little bit crowded now, so instead of trying to go through them because there's not any room, I'm actually going to just jump over the other opponents. We're going to see Eric Almirola parked in a very precarious situation. For what feels like the millionth time, we're actually going to get sideways off of this ramp once again, but we will manage to keep ourselves out of the abyss by beaching ourselves on this little brim. And then we're going to pull our 3rd Casper the Friendly Ghost of the event, and then ram into Kurt Busch to send him to the Shadow Realm. Rest in peace, Kurt. Moving on to the 10th and final race of the event here at the Tricky Triangle. I am back in the Killer Bee, the small little European car with great acceleration, which as a result means I'm basically just shoving my face up the rear of Chase Elliott at the very start. That's a sentence you probably didn't expect me to ever say in my life. Clint Boyer is going to take a hard right because Siri told him to. And just like that, once again, our next target is our best friend Brad. Just 1 lap later, however, Brad Keselowski is going to get a little bit out of shape going off the ramp, land on his door, and then go head on into the concrete. He's not going to be competing with us for a top 2 finish. However, I myself will not be competing with Eric Almirola for the win. He was far too fast for that. And then coming down the back straight for the final time, as is tradition, I have to screw it up one more time. I get all out of shape on the landing. And unfortunately, I'm going to lose a spot to Kevin Harvick. And then coming out of the final turn, Jimmy Johnson's also going to come to my outside. And unfortunately, had far too much momentum for me to actually get in his way and try and preserve a podium finish. So unfortunately, we're going to end the final race in 4th position. So after 10 races around the Tricky Triangle, let's take a look at the updated point standings. So as you can see, not a whole lot really changed at the top of the standings this episode. I'm still in 1st place, followed by Brad, who did close the standings on me quite a bit, I should add. Chase Elliott still a bit back there in 3rd place, but everybody else shifting around their positions quite frequently. Eric Almirola is this event's big winner, moving up 6 spots after his 2 victories. And then Joey Logano is plummeting down the standings real quick, all the way from 7th to 14th in a single event. If you are interested in seeing how the rest of this championship plays out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you can be notified when any future episodes are uploaded. And if you have watched the video all the way through to this point, feel free to leave a like, it would really help me out a lot. And as always, feel free to leave a comment down below with any suggestions you have for ways that I could improve this series. But that's all I have for you guys today, and I will see you all in the next one.